who Pauli really was in Goodfellas.
That what Pauli and the organization does is offer protection for people who can't go to the cops.
Goodfellas gave the world Pauli Cicero, a quiet and measured man who used his silence like a weapon. But the real Paul Vario wasn't a patriarch. He was a cunning, self-serving man who built power not through loyalty, but through fear, manipulation, and a ruthless understanding of human weakness.
What I'm gonna do, no? What could I do? If there's something I could do, don't you think I would do it? You know me, I would like to help you out.
Paul Vario was born on July 10, 1914 in Mill Basin, Brooklyn, into a family of Sicilian immigrants chasing opportunity. But whatever hope brought his parents across the ocean, it never quite reached him. At 11, Vario landed in juvenile detention for truancy. On the surface, it sounded minor, but it wasn't about school. It was about rejection. Even at that age, Vario had already decided the rules of society didn't apply to him. The streets became his classroom. As a teenager, he ran errands for local mobsters, absorbing lessons that mattered far more than anything taught in school, like when to speak, when to stay silent, and how power actually worked. Silence became his currency. But beneath that quiet exterior, something darker was forming. Now, here's the side of Paul Vario, aka Pauli, that the movie never shows you. At 23, Vario was convicted of raping a 16-year-old girl from Howard Beach. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in Sing Sing, but prison didn't break him. It only refined him. He was granted parole twice, and both times he violated it, landing himself right back behind bars. But prison never severed his ties with the crime world. Each time Vario walked free, the Lucchese family was there to receive him, recognizing his value. His ability to deliver results quickly set him apart, and before long, he wasn't just another associate. He was inducted as a made man and rose to the rank of capo. His headquarters weren't penthouses or flashy nightclubs. He operated out of Gefkin's Bar on Flatlands Avenue and a junkyard in Canarsie, a place that looked like nothing more than rust and scrap from the outside. Inside, it was a command center. Hijackings, loan sharking, gambling, and stolen goods. Millions flowed through operations that barely left a trace.
For a guy who moved all day long, Pauli didn't talk to 6 people.
The movie did, however, nail one thing about Vario with eerie precision: his absolute distrust of phones.
He used to get all his calls secondhand, then you'd have to call the people back from an outside phone.
He assumed someone was always listening, so every message passed through layers of intermediaries. Conversations were controlled, filtered, and insulated. It wasn't just caution, it was a strategy, and it worked.
Pauli hated conferences. He didn't want anybody hearing what he said, and he didn't want anybody listening to what he was being told.
The real engine of Vario's empire wasn't hidden in back rooms. It was sitting in plain sight. John F. Kennedy International Airport. Through connections with Teamsters Union officials, Vario's crew held enormous leverage over cargo operations. They didn't need to steal anything. Sometimes they just needed to threaten disruption. Pay up or shipments stopped moving. Airlines and freight companies didn't argue. Federal prosecutors later proved he extorted at least $350,000 from airport-related operations, but that number barely scratched the surface. In reality, Vario was making more money in a single day than what people earned the whole year.
I can't go here, I can't go there. You think you're the only one? I talked to them a million times. They don't listen.
The film softened Pauli Cicero. He barely raises his voice. His power is quiet, controlled, almost comforting. You believe in him, you trust him, and you understand why Henry Hill would. The real Paul Vario didn't work like that. He was 6 feet tall, over 250 pounds, and he wasn't calm at all. He was explosive. One night at a restaurant in Queens, a simple inconvenience set everything off. The maitre d' seated others ahead of him. Then, wine was spilled on his wife's dress and cleaned with a dirty rag. That was enough. Vario struck the man at the table. It should have ended there, but it didn't. Later that night, he sent 2 carloads of men armed with bats and pipes to wait outside the restaurant. When the staff left, they were beaten in the street all over a glass of wine.
All right, keep your eyes open, because they're busting my balls about this bastard, all right?
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Henry Hill would later recall it with airy detachment, as if violence like that didn't even require explanation. That's who Vario really was, and that version couldn't exist in the film because it would destroy everything the story needed you to feel. Goodfellas didn't lie completely. It captured certain truths, the structure, the hierarchy, but here comes the biggest lie, and no, it wasn't about rules or being a made man or not. It was about loyalty. Goodfellas presents loyalty as the foundation of everything, the glue that holds the world together. But in Vario's reality, loyalty only flowed one way, toward him. Henry Hill gravitated toward Vario like a son seeking approval from a father. That relationship felt real because in many ways it was. However, in reality, when Henry Hill sat in prison on extortion charges, the man he idolized made his move, not against enemies, but against him.
But I got nowhere else to go, Pauli. You're all I've got, and I really, really need your help.
Vario began an affair with Karen Hill, not subtly, not ambiguously, completely. The same man Henry treated like a father crossed a line that shattered any illusion of honor. And it didn't stop there. Around that same time, Tommy DeSimone, another associate, became a big problem, killing multiple people and acting like a lunatic. Rumor has it that DeSimone assaulted Karen, and this triggered Vario really badly.
What do you want from me? What am I gonna do? Tommy's a bad kid, he's a bad seed. What am I supposed to do, shoot him?
So, what did he do? No, he didn't confront him directly. He tipped off the Gambino family instead, revealing that DeSimone had been responsible for the murders of two of their made men. DeSimone was killed shortly after, and his body was never found. That was Vario's version of problem solving.
Oh no.
It wasn't until the 1980s that the system that had protected Vario for decades began to crack. Henry Hill was arrested on drug charges, but this time things were different. Federal investigators played him a recording, a conversation between Vario and Jimmy Berg, and guess what? They were discussing killing Henry.
Now I gotta turn my back.
The mentor, the father figure, the man he had built his life around, planning his death. Something in Henry shifted, and like any sane person, Hill chose survival and cooperated, even if it meant going against everything he ever knew.
Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut.
This led to more than 50 convictions and a massive unraveling of operations that had once seemed untouchable. Vario too was convicted of fraud in 1984, then extortion in 1985. But this time, there were no more exits. Vario died in prison on May 3, 1988 at the age of 73. 2 years later, Paul Sorvino's performance gave the world something enduring, a version of Pauli that felt almost noble in its restraint. But here's the thing, the real Paul Vario understood something most people don't. The strongest form of power isn't force, it's perception. Make people believe they matter, believe they're trusted, believe they're part of something real, and they'll never see the moment they become expendable. That's what Henry Hill never fully grasped until it was too late. There was no father figure waiting in that Canarsie junkyard, just a man who knew exactly how to make loyalty feel real while never giving it back.